All right. Good morning, All Saints Church. I hope that everyone is doing great this morning, enjoying the beautiful sunshine. I know it smells a little smoky to me, so it might smell smoky to you outside, which is really unfortunate, but I'm glad that we can enjoy this day together, enjoy what will be our Rector's Forum starting in just a moment, and then also our worship service, which starts at 11:15. We are going to have a very special presentation today about voting because we are in that countdown period. And so we're going to get started in just a moment, but I want to extend a special welcome to those of you who may be new to the All Saints community and to our church. We, on a weekly basis, have this opportunity at 10 a.m. to do some education and some learning about a wide variety of topics. And at 11 o'clock, we begin Children's Chapel, which is a wonderful opportunity for your children to engage in our worship experience. And then again at 11:15, we do our worship service. So welcome to everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because we're going to get our program started. And I'm looking forward to our time together. We're going to get started with our presentation, and today's topic is counting down to the general election in November. We're just days away, and I'm so aware that there are members of our All Saints community, and I will say even in my own personal network, that have a lot of questions about what's coming up in November, what's on the ballot, and how voting will be different this year. And so we thought we would take this opportunity to give you all some further instruction on the topic. So again, welcome. For those of you who are new, we really take pride in the fact that this is a place of whoever you are and wherever you are in your journey of faith, that you are welcome here, that there's a place here for you. And we believe that we are an Episcopal church walking with a revolutionary Jesus, loving without judgment, doing justice courageously, embracing life joyfully, and reverently inviting all faiths and peoples into relationship for the healing and transformation of ourselves, for our community and our world. We're so excited to have you with us. So our program today is going to be 4 parts. First, what you need to know about voting. That's literally about the logistics of voting in this November general election. The second part will be about what is on the ballot. And for that piece, we have a wonderful special guest joining us today, a lead organizer from LA Voice, who is an expert on so many things, but especially on the ballot measures that we are going to be voting on this coming November. And she will be talking about sharing with us, talking about 3 particular ballot measures that LA Voice is really pushing in these final days. The third part will be to share some important resources with you all. And then also we will make time for a Q&A session. I want to encourage all of you to please grab a pen. We are going to cover a lot of material, and I'm sure that there are going to be a lot of questions regarding websites that I speak of and that sort of thing. So I think it would be very helpful if you grabbed a pen, or if you take notes on your computer, please do that. You might also want to have your telephone or another mobile device handy so that we can explore websites together in the moment. So I want to encourage you to do that at this time if you have the ability. And note again that we will have a Q&A session available at the end of our program. And so use that Q&A function at the bottom of your Zoom page to submit questions, and then our special guest and I will take the questions in the order that we get them and try to get through as many as we possibly can. All right, so what you need to know about voting. First and foremost, you need to know that you need to be a registered voter to vote. And who can be a registered voter? And so I just thought we would go through this in the event that it's not clear. This may be old information to many, many, many of you, but certainly worth reviewing once again. So who can vote in California? You can vote if you are a United States citizen. You have to be at least 18 years of age or older on or before Election Day, and you cannot be in prison or on parole for a felony. That's an unfortunate part of our law, and certainly there are efforts to change that, but that is currently one of the requirements, that you not be in prison or on parole for a felony. This is a very critical point. You should update your registration If you have moved, if you have changed your name, if you have changed your political party or affiliation, if you have completed a felony sentence and you are no longer on parole, or if you want to receive materials in a different language other than English, so that's an opportunity. Everything that gets sent to you will be in English, but if you want them in a different language, that is possible by re-registering. And if your signature has changed since the last time you have registered to vote. This is really, really, really critical. So oftentimes I find that people who have moved forget to re-register to vote, or folks who have married and have changed their name, or maybe have separated, divorced, and have changed their name, forget that they need to change their registration status. And so part of our 100% voting congregation work that took place in August and into September of calling members of our congregation who appeared not to be on the voter registration poll was to check in with them to see what was happening. And oftentimes our volunteers realized that folks had moved and had not re-registered at their new address or had changed their name. And so this is something for you all to know, and please share with your networks that if that is true for you, you really need to re-register. The places to do that would be these websites below, lavote.net. That is, if you live in Los Angeles County, this is the LA County Register and Clerk's address, for which you can register to vote and do any number of other things. And then for the state of California, the website is registertovote.ca.gov. You can also register to vote and check your voter registration status on that web page. So what I find very helpful election after election is to confirm your voter registration status. And you can do so, again, by visiting these two websites that I just mentioned, lavote.net and registertovote.ca.dog. So what I would encourage you all to do, again, if you've got your mobile device, or if you have the capacity to open another window on your web browser at the moment, visit one of these websites to confirm your voter registration status. Again, oftentimes people say, oh, I'm a registered voter, there's no problem, I've never had a problem voting in any single election. Okay, that's fantastic. And at this point in time, I would really, really encourage you to confirm your voter registration status by checking through one of these two links. So I'm going to just show you quickly, and hopefully you can do this in real time with me, what it would look like on either one of these websites to check your voter registration status. So if you go to lavote.net, you are going to get a pop-up screen that is yellow. It talks about the county offices being closed due to COVID. Just go ahead and X out of that. And then what you will see to the left of your screen right now is the home page for that county clerk register webpage. On the left-hand side, you will see a button that says register to vote. Go ahead and click on that button. And after you do that, this page on the right will appear. And there are two options. One would be to register to vote. And that may be something you need to do if in the moment right now you're realizing, aha, I did move and I have not changed my address, or I have changed my name, or any number of other issues that we went through that you need to register. Go ahead and do that now. Or if you just need to check your voter registration status, go ahead and click on check if you're registered. What will then pop up is this page, and this is the page where you will enter your last name, birth date, your house number, and zip code. And that way the county clerk will retrieve your records and confirm your voter registration status. Note here, again, house number, that's all you need to put. You don't need to put your street address. So for example, for myself, I would put in Serrano, 11479. My house number is 175. I do not need to put anything else. And my zip code is 91101. Once I hit the search button, my record will pop up, and I've done this already. And so I know that I am in fact registered to vote. It will confirm my voter registration status and my party affiliation. When you go to the state website, which is registertovote.ca.gov, the page looks a little different. So you'll scroll down to the bottom of that homepage and you will see a tab that says check your registration status. You can go ahead and click on that. Then the right side of the page will appear in a new window. And for the state, all you have to enter is your first name, your last name, and your date of birth. And that way they will retrieve your records and confirm your voter registration status. So I hope that you all do this right now as I continue on with the presentation, or do so later today by having taken note of these websites that are very, very, very important to confirm your voter registration status. Also important to note, all registered voters in the state of California will receive a vote by mail ballot this year. This is in direct result to the pandemic and making sure that everyone can vote as safely as possible. If you are a permanent vote by mail ballot voter, do not worry, you will still get your voter ballot by mail. Nothing will change there, and that will be true for future elections. If you are somebody like me who is not a vote by mail ballot, I will be getting my vote by mail ballot for this election, but that will not continue to be true moving forward unless some decisions get made at the state level. But everyone will be receiving that ballot, and there are a few different options for you to cast your vote. The first is to vote by mail with your mail ballot with the prepaid postage that is provided to you in the envelope and submitting that through USPS. There's some important things that you really need to pay attention to as you get your ballot and fill it out and then submit it by mail, should you choose to do that manner. First, you need to use blue or black ink only to mark your choices on the ballot. If you use another color of ink on your ballot, it will invalidate your ballot. So please be sure to grab a blue or black pen and to mark up your ballot. You need to place your voted ballot card in the official return envelope. There isn't another way for you to submit that ballot card. So make sure you hold on to the envelope that you get your vote by mail ballot with. You need to securely seal that envelope, and you need to sign and date and provide, there's a typo there, your registered address on the back of that envelope. Please note that if you do not sign the back of that envelope that has your vote ballot card inside of it, that is another reason for the county clerk to invalidate your vote. So please be sure to sign and date it. And then also make sure that your ballot and your envelope is postmarked on or before November 3rd. There is no postage necessary. Go ahead and throw that in a mailbox or go to the post office and make sure that it's submitted should you desire to vote by mail. The second manner that you can vote is to drop off your vote by mail ballot at any vote center or any vote by mail drop-off box leading up to and on election day. So again, there are vote centers that are going to be open on election day and 10 days prior. So you can always walk into a vote center and submit your vote by mail ballot to an official that is working at the vote center. Or you can go to a vote by mail drop box, and they are all over Los Angeles County. I will review some locations with you so that you know where they are here in Pasadena. And that is another mechanism by which you can submit your vote by mail ballot. The same rules apply. Please make sure that you submit your ballot card in the official return envelope, that you securely seal the envelope, that you sign and date it, because again, that is a reason by which the county clerk can invalidate and not count your vote, which we don't want happening, and use that blue black ink only. You can find vote centers at lavote.net, again, the county clerk's website, and you can also find a list of Dropbox locations available at lavote.net. So here in Pasadena, we are lucky to have several locations. There will be a vote by mail drop box at Washington Park, Victory Park, Hastings Library, Pasadena City Hall, at the Allendale Library, the Jackie Robinson Community Center, Grant Park, and the Rose Bowl. So you will see what these drop-off boxes look like. On the right, I have an image of the one that is at Pasadena City Hall already. So you merely go up to this drop-off box like you would a mailbox and open up the lever and stick in your ballot that has been signed and filled out accurately and sealed. And that way, the county clerks and the register will be picking up the ballots in these boxes on a periodic basis and collecting them. Now, the third way you can vote is to vote in person at a vote center. So again, vote centers can be identified by visiting lavote.net. There are locations throughout the area. These locations may differ from your traditional voting locations in years past, so please make note of that. You want to really look up where your closest, most convenient location is by visiting lavote.net. Note that they will be open between October 24th and Election Day, which is November 3rd, and that the vote centers are open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. through November 2nd, and then on Election Day, there's extended hours from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Note, if you have any issue, there will be poll workers there to assist you, and they are trained and they are prepared to help you in any way, especially if you encounter any issues. And so please be sure to touch base with a poll worker should you need to. And if you have any issues, again, voting, note that you have the right to vote by a provisional ballot. Always that is true. If you go to a vote center and you ask for a provisional ballot because you need one, a situation that may call for that is you've lost your vote by mail ballot. So that may be a way that you want to vote by provisional ballot at a vote center. And again, please visit that website, lavote.net. It's got a lot of really great information, and that way you can learn where your local vote center is. I want to share with you about this really cool new system that has come to fruition, and it will allow all of us in Los Angeles who vote in Los Angeles County to track our ballot. And so the website for this is losangeles.ballottracks.net/voter. And what this allows for you to do is to register your name, your date of birth, and your zip code. And what it will do is track your ballot when it has been mailed, when it has been received by the clerk, and also when it has been counted. So this is a fantastic way to actually make sure that your vote has counted. I know that sometimes folks say, yeah, I wonder if they actually got my ballot. I sent it by mail and there's no way of knowing. Now we have this fantastic system through Ballot Tracks in the state of California, and specifically for Los Angeles County, to be able to track your ballot and make sure that it has been received and counted. So I highly recommend that you register for this. So these are some important dates that I think that you all need to know about. First and foremost, the first day for mailing of the vote by mail ballots will begin tomorrow. So many of you will be receiving your vote by mail ballot this week, which is fantastic. So you are ready and eligible to vote early. So be mindful of that as you get your mail on a daily basis. The 19th of this month is the last day to register to vote. And so that is a pre-registration process, again, by either going to the post office or utilizing either of those links that I mentioned earlier to register to vote or to re-register under a new name or party affiliation. But also note that same-day voter registration is available at any vote center in Los Angeles County. So as we talked about those vote centers being open as early as October 24th, should you need to vote, to register to vote at a vote center, that is possible beginning October 24th. Voting at vote centers is beginning on October 24th, and it begins at select locations. So that's why, again, it is going to be really critical for you to make sure, oh, excuse me. Uh-oh, sorry about that, y'all. Let's open this up again. Forgive me. All right, it will be very critical for you to check the location and ensure that your vote center is open at the day and times that you need. And then finally, there is Election Day on November 3rd. It's the big day that we've all been waiting for. It is the last day to vote in person. Again, vote centers will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And please be sure that if you're voting by mail, that your ballot, your envelope is postmarked on or before Election Day so that it can be counted. If you want to drop off your vote by mail ballot, you can drop it off at a vote center that day as well. That would be the last day to do so. So I want to share with you an exciting opportunity that's going to be happening on Saturday, October 17th at 1 p.m. This will be an opportunity for us as All Saints Church to come together as a community and to vote together. So what I'm hoping you all will be interested in doing is filling out your vote by mail ballot, should you have received it by that time already. Have it all completed and ready to go. You come to All Saints Church's parking lot wearing a mask. And what we will do is walk together to Pasadena City Hall, socially distanced, of course, making sure that we keep everyone safe. And we will put our ballots in that vote by mail drop-off box at Pasadena City Hall. For every person that comes and participates in this fun community voting experience, you will get a sign that says that you voted and confirming that All Saints Church is a 100% voting congregation. This will be a sign that you can put on your lawn. It is one that you can post maybe in the rear window of your car or in your apartment window, maybe in your office, just to keep you hopeful and inspired. But these will be large signs that I will pass out to everyone who comes on October 17th and votes in community at Pasadena City Hall and submits their vote by mail ballot in that drop-off box. So this is a wonderful, fun activity for us as All Saints to vote in community with one another. So now that we've kind of gotten through the logistics of voting and how it's different this year, because so many things are different this year, now it's time for us to talk a little bit about what is happening with the ballot and what measures you can expect to see on it. And for that, we have a really special guest, my friend and colleague, Reverend Rae Huang, who is a lead organizer with LA Voice. We work together on a lot of things, and she's just a fantastic human being that I feel really lucky to be engaged in the social justice work with. She now is going to tell us a little bit about the 3 ballot measures that LA Voice is really focusing on in these final days. So without further ado, Rae, thank you for being with us this morning. It's so good to see you.
Thank you so much, Juliana, and back to you. You are definitely one of my favorite people I get to work with. I've just loved your friendship, and I really love this church, not only because you have great services and you have great theology, and I personally love it, but just because you all know how to not just understand the theology, engage deeply in the theology, engage deeply in dialogue, but you know how to act, you know how to practice that in your everyday lives and live out the justice calling that we read about, that we study, and that we dialogue with it, both in our relationship with God as well as in our in the Bible that we read and study. So thank you so much. So the next, I know that I've been invited to share with you about some of the things that we at LA Voice have decided to focus on. And I'm going to tell you first about why we've decided to focus on these particular propositions and measure. And the 3 that we're focusing on is we encourage and try and educate people. We encourage folks to say yes on Prop 15, no on Prop 20, and yes on Measure J. And I'm going to name that for you exactly why. So a little bit first about LA Voice. I know a lot of you have gotten to know us because we have done a number of presentations at All Saints. But just to remind you, we are a multiracial, multi-faith, nonprofit community organizing organization where we organize our faith groups and congregations into action through political engagement, through voter engagement, as well as through practice of engaging by being involved in our city and the work that we do on a local scale. And the reason that we've chosen these 3 is because we have member organizations, which means that we have organizations and congregations who have chosen to become a member of LA Voice, which means that they are engaged not only in the work that we do, but they're also engaged in saying and determining what our focus and our vision is every year. And these are member congregations, some who are formally incarcerated, some congregations who are made up of a large immigrant population. A number of undocumented workers are part of these congregations. We have member congregations who are Jewish and have a history of the kind of anti-Semitic experiences they've had. So we have a diversity of experiences. And because of these experiences that they have on a daily basis, as well as in their history, they shape and determine, having studied and researched and participating in their local engagement and work in their city, what exactly the needs of their communities are. And then because we talk about this, because we're all engaging in our local city, and I'll give you an example. Baldwin Park, for example, we have two congregations who are member congregations, St. John the Baptist Catholic Church, which has over about 10,000 members. And we also have the Baldwin Park United Methodist Church. And together, these two congregations worked last year to pass the strongest rent control ordinance in the county. And the reason that they did this is because they have a majority of their members are renters who can't afford the kind of rent that is required to be able to survive and stay and not be displaced out of their Baldwin Park community. Right. And so because of their experiences, they've said, these are the things that we need, as they've shared with the rest of our members across the county. These are the things that we need. And so because of their experiences, because of their needs and desires and interests and their theology, right, they've come together across the county to say, the things that we need are things like, yes, on Prop 15, no on Prop 20, and yes on Measure J. And so we went through this process of coming together and saying, what are the things that we need, not just at our local scale, but also at our countywide scale, and also at a statewide scale that represents our values, our needs, our interests, that will not just bring immediate change, but structural change. And that's why we came to these three. The other reason we came to these three is because we did a significant amount of research across the state and also across the county in conversations with our partners. So not just faith congregations, but also with other organizations across the state, and said, what are the things that we can actually win this year, but need an extra push, need us to fight really hard for us to actually win these structural changes? And these three, again, were chosen. And so I just want to name that, these are not just three things that we think are good, right? But these are actually researched, well thought through, engaged at a deeper level across our organizations, across the state, to say, these are the things that we believe will bring the actual structural change to win an economic and racial just agenda for our state for the long haul, and for our county for the long haul. So I just want to be very clear about how we got to those three. Okay, now moving on, I'm going to talk about specifically about these three. And by the way, if you have questions, please put them in the question and answer, and I'll do my best to answer those later. So I think we're going to move on to the next slide, and which is, what is Prop 15? Some of you may know it as Schools and Communities First. Your church was extraordinarily engaged in collecting signatures to get this on the ballot. So let's celebrate that. That is amazing. And so we do, that is, I think a lot of you are already educated on this particular proposition, but for those of you who are not, I'm going to share a little bit more. This particular proposition does close property tax loopholes benefiting specifically wealthy corporations. These are corporations that have over 500 employees or who make over $3 million a year. And so these are very large corporations that have been living in our communities and have been benefiting from what our communities bring in terms of a workforce, in terms of the economy. And then we also know that California is the fourth wealthiest, sorry, I can't remember how to state this anymore, but we have the fourth largest economy in the world, California. I don't know if you realize that. So we bring in so much money into our corporations. They benefit so greatly from this. But the problem is, where is the money going? We're not seeing it, right? In some cases, their workers in their own neighborhoods are not even benefiting from it, by seeing better school systems, by seeing social services, by seeing better health providers, things like that. We're not seeing the money. It's all going towards these private corporations that are benefiting from this. And so we're saying, hey, we should be sharing in this together. We created this beautiful state of California where we have the largest booming tech industry, in the nation, possibly the world. And yet, where's that money going to? And so one of the ways that we're able to say and bring that funding back is through this proposition. And the way we're doing it is we're not just saying, hey, just give us all your money, which I'll be honest, I wouldn't mind encouraging that a little bit more. That's my own politics, not yours. But what we are saying, right, is that let's look at our tax situation here, okay? And in the 70s, we had passed Prop 13, which had capped property taxes at 2% every year. And the thing was, it benefited our residents who were really struggling to pay their taxes at the time. But the thing is, we all know that property values shot up, right, since then. We know that you could have bought like a house for $200,000, $300,000 in the 70s, but we know that that house that you bought for that much money in the 70s now costs maybe like 1.5 million, possibly even more, right? And so it wasn't matching, right? The values, the rates were not matching what the reality was here. And so the thing is, what we're saying is just for large, wealthy corporations, pay the taxes that are due today. And this is done in the majority of states in the nation, but not ours. And so we went from having the #1 top school system in the nation in the 70s to now we are, I believe, I can't remember the exact number, and I should have looked that up before I got here, but it's like 36, 37. And, and then, I'm a mother who sends my kids to public schools. And I will tell you from a personal perspective, my older daughter lost her teacher after the first week of school because my school could not pay for it. So my kindergarten class right now has 30 students in her class. Possibly, I think in some cases, even over 30 students, right? Like our state, the 4th largest economy in the world, can't have enough teachers to make sure that I have enough teachers for my kindergarten class, right? Like that, there seems to be a problem with that, but we have the wealth. We just need to figure out how to make sure that we're all able to rise up together and benefit from that collectively. And so that's what we're going to do, right? Is we're going to say, let's pay our fair share of taxes. Let's close the tax loopholes for just the large corporations, not residents, not small businesses. We want to help our small businesses improve, succeed, right? And what that will do is bring $12 billion back into California's local schools and local communities. And the really cool part about this is if you have an Amazon in your neighborhood is going to see that money. It's actually going to go directly to the city, the area that particular corporation that exists in, right? And so we get to see that immediate result. And so that benefits the workers and the employees who live there and work there, so that they can also be able to grow in that way. So it's a really great part. It's a really great systemic change that we've been needing for decades in our state. And so let's change that, and let's all rise up together, right? And just to be specific, and I appreciate the slides here, it does exempt, like I said, homeowners, renters, small businesses, and agricultural land so that they can continue to be protected by Prop 13. And especially what's great about this too is it does prioritize transparency and accountability so that when we do get that $12 billion into our communities, we will know exactly where that's going. And I encourage you to stay a part of All Saints and engaged in the work and the social justice work of All Saints, because we get to determine and participate in shaping where those $12 billion are going to go specifically for your community, for your share from whatever funding is going to come into Pasadena, that you'll get to decide where it should go, because you live in Pasadena where it is needed best. So we're going to move on to the next slide. Prop 20, what is it? This is called Crime and Keeping California Safe Act, which is a mistitled name to this proposition, because I personally do not believe that it's going to keep California safe. I think it's led to make a certain segment of California feel safer, But the reality is it's going to continue to hurt our communities who are already vulnerable and already on the margins. This would repeal Prop 47 and 57, reforms that we have worked for decades on collectively as a criminal justice working community, to be able to bring down mass incarceration and to be able to bring in the kind of reforms that are in particular Black and Brown communities have been affected by, and bring those reforms for them so that they no longer will be targets of our mass incarceration and of that industry, if you will, that is growing in the state of California. And what it will do is reclassify nonviolent felony charges to become from being misdemeanors. And so we need, in this moment in particular, our communities who have been on the margins, our communities by which they have been targeted for, because of the fact that because of the redlining that has happened in our communities, and we have put all of our largely Black and Brown communities into poor pockets that have not benefited from the resources that they need to be able to rise up. And we have said, every single time that you do something wrong and illegal, which, we can debate about those pieces. I could go into how cannabis, originally was something that you'd be in jail for some time, hurting your community in the sense that your family now has lost a working parent, right? In the sense that we have jailed are largely men, our young men who can contribute to our families, contribute to our communities, and we have put them away. And now that they cannot contribute, those communities are hurting, right? And so that's just one minor example of the many by which our communities have been leached of the opportunities, the economic opportunities to be able to improve their families and their communities to do well. Right, and so that's just one example of the many of ways by this particular proposition participates in continuing the structural racist policies that our state has lived out for many, many, many years, possibly since the beginning of the founding of our state, where if you were someone of color, you were forced into communities and leached of opportunities and resources that we all should be receiving, because we're all human and we all deserve dignity and respect, and we all should be able to live safely, right? And so it is a pro-criminalization, pro-incarceration, and is heavily funded by police unions to be able to grow this industry where we incarcerate people and continue to also keep people of color in line, which is a problem, right? The other thing this Prop 20 also does, it will take DNA tests of people who are incarcerated, which I find a gross violation of people's personal spaces, a real problem in terms of how we are already keeping an eye on our public. And so it just, this particular prop on a personal level makes me feel very, very uncomfortable, and also just moves us so far back from where we need to be, which is a place where we give people multiple chances in life. In particular, because as I named, it's not just that we're giving people second, third, and fourth chances, it's that because their first chance was already a racist, sort of a racist, it wasn't even weren't even given a first chance, let's just be honest, because of the way that we were born, because of the community we were born into, or because of where we grew up. And that's a problem. So please, if you have any other questions about that, I can go into more detail. There's so much more to say about this proposition, but I'm going to continue to move on. The third and last one that LA Voice is prioritizing, not saying that we do have recommendations for other ballot and proposition initiatives, but the third one that we've decided to focus on, again, because of the values and interests of our communities, is Measure J. What is Measure J? Measure J is not a state proposition, but it is a local county, LA County Charter Amendment that would require 10% of the unrestricted general funds from our LA County budget to be appropriated and given to our community investments on alternatives and incarceration, which include housing, which includes jobs, small businesses, and also includes housing, jobs, health, healthcare. And this is a really powerful one, particularly in this moment. We as LA Voice have been very deeply engaged with the Black Lives Matter movement. And the reason, I don't need to tell you the reason why, I feel like we're past that. But, and so what we have realized, what Black Lives Matter is calling for is to reimagine what public safety actually is. And I gave you a little bit of a piece of that, right, when I was talking about Prop 20. But for Measure J, in the same form, right, we have been, instead of lifting up our communities of color, we have been, and which is all communities, are also our poor communities. So like, it doesn't matter what color of skin, you know, the way that we've been able, we've been not lifting them up. Instead, what we've been doing is just policing them. What we've been saying is, if you don't look the part, if you don't act the part, right, in the dominant expectation, in the dominant sort of population's expectations of what we believe is the right way to act, you will be put in jail, or you'll be wrangled by our police officers. It's a structural problem, and that we have decided that the police is the way that we're going to keep people in line, and it's a problem. And so what Black Lives Matter and what LA Voice is asking for is, we need to reimagine what it means to actually have safety in our communities. Safety means not the school to prison pipeline. Safety means having counselors and nurses in our schools, right, which is Prop 15. Safety means having the right health care. We know that Black folks are less likely to actually be, that when they say that they have pain in their lives, and they're saying, you know, at 1 out of 10, like, where's your pain right now? They'll say 8. The thing is, what we have found is that over and over again, doctors don't trust folks of color, particularly Black folks, when they say that I have a pain of 8 out of 10, right? And so they don't receive the proper medical care that they actually need. We also know that our healthcare system is also kind of a problem, and a lot of people are not receiving the care. I can tell you that I had medication that cost $30 every time I got my medication, and now it's $120. So that's, you know, just one fine example of where we need to be putting our money where our mouth is, right? So if we really want, you know, to have safety in our communities, that means we need to be taking care of our health. That means we need to provide jobs. That means we need to have job protections, worker protections when you're in your job. That means we need to have housing, right? Housing is particularly an area that I know that our community in Pasadena cares a lot about, because there are people on the streets for a reason. And the way to solve that is to provide housing and mental health care and all these other things, right? And so when we talk about public safety, we mean that everybody actually has the resources they need to be able to succeed, to grow, and to thrive, right? And so we are asking just 10%. It's a tithe, right? The typical tithe we read in the Bible is at least 10%. Of course, if you can give more, we want you to give more, but at least 10%, right? Give 10% of our funding, our unrestricted general funds. That means funding that's not already flagged for specific other purposes, and give it to housing, to health, and to jobs. And this will, like I have said, dismantle our systemic racism in our LA County. And so we need to, and so Measure J is a really beautiful opportunity for us to begin to reimagine what we could do with our funds if we were not giving that much of it to the police and to policing and keeping in line. Again, what does that connotation mean when I say keeping them in line of our people of color in our poor communities? Okay, so in general, this is our LA Voice ballot guide. Like I said, we have opinions on other propositions. And so we say yes on Prop 15. Everyone say in your house and mute, yes on Prop 15, yes on Prop 15. We are saying also yes on Prop 16. I'm not going to go through all these because it will take a while, but you can see all of these here. Yes on Prop 17, no on Prop 20, yes on Prop 21, which is expanding rent control for those cities who want it. Yes on Prop 22, actually I believe, yes, I believe it's no on Prop 22, which is to make sure that our drivers continue to have the opportunity to be unionized. And then also, yes on Prop 25, which would replace cash bail, and then yes on Prop J, on Measure J. Sorry, I haven't memorized. I should have memorized all of these, but Juliana will get out all of the information.
Yeah, I can share that. I did take this from a document. So if Prop 2, you think Prop 2 is actually a yes? Or Prop 22, excuse me?
Yeah, let me.
Okay, we'll get the right info. I did copy and paste from somewhere, so.
Okay, yeah. We specifically
we'll make sure
say
that that's right.
yes or no. I'm sorry, I've only memorized in my brain the yes
Yeah.
and no's on the 15, 20, and J. But I want to make sure I give you the right information. For the others, we have a recommendation ballot, a ballot recommendations guide. Juliana will get that to you as to whether or not we recommend yes or no, based again on our research, based again on our community engagement and work. And I'm happy to go in further detail with you about those on maybe another time when I'm not using our 1 hour before the church starts.
No problem.
So, yeah. And so we're gonna, anyway, if you agree with us, again, this is up to you and your calling. I'm Presbyterian. We believe in the calling of individual spirits and guidance of the Holy Spirit in our own personal relationships with God. So there's, no pressure, but if you do agree with me on yes on Prop 15, on no on Prop 20, and yes on Measure J, I'm going to share with you, I'm going to share with you, or Juliana can share with you the, a pledge right now. There we go. I just dropped it in the chat box. Did everyone get it? Okay. I'm just going to take a moment for you to process this information. And I'm just going to give you, it will take like 10 seconds to be able to fill this pledge out. If you need more time, take it. But I'm just going to give us a moment for you to open up that pledge if you can, on your phone, on your computer, however is easiest, and fill that out, because this pledge is really important to us. This is how we are able to actually keep track of how we're doing on our voter education work and make sure that we're educating people, and it will actually participate in helping us get out the vote and make sure that we win this economic and racial justice platform and agenda this November. So I'm gonna just give us a minute for us to just think through these things, come up with your further questions, and I'm gonna also get that ballot recommendation list for you and drop it in the chat box right now while you take a moment to open up that pledge and consider joining us in this fight for racial and economic justice.
Thanks, Rae. Yes, and I encourage everyone, again, open up your phone and click on that link that's provided in the chat function, or open up a new browser window on your computer and take a moment to fill out that pledge. I also want to have Rae just invite everyone into a wonderful opportunity to encourage others to vote yes on 15, no on 20, and yes on Measure J. It's so important that we spread this news, that all of this education is not only important to us as individuals, but we need to share this information with our households, with our workmates, with our neighbors. And so there is a wonderful opportunity coming up, Rae, if you can tell folks about how to engage and get more vote on measures.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I don't know why my computer just dinged, but as you all heard it, I should have muted my computer when Juliana was talking. Yes, I'm going to give you an opportunity. Juliana, would you mind if I just had you stop sharing for a moment, and I'm going to share
Sure,
my screen
of course.
because I want to make sure that you can see our recommendations.
Great. And Rae, in a moment too, I'll be sharing our rapid response team comes up with a spreadsheet every single year, and they take several of the recommendations from our partners and sort of analyze them in comparison. So we've got that incorporated into our spreadsheet as well, which I'll share with folks in a moment. Yeah.
Great. I'm
So
so glad.
we're always looking for what you say, what League of Women Voters say, what
Yes.
clues, you know, all of our community partners that we work so well with.
I am so glad to hear that. And I love that because I just love how thoughtful. And again, one of the reasons why I love All Saints is because of how thoughtfully you all engage in this work together. And again, you know, we work together with our partners. So by and large, you'll see actually that we all agree on these propositions.
Yeah.
But I do encourage you to, with all of your partners, be able to figure out where your particular congregation might stand and invite people to participate. But again, you know, you are the voter. And so, yeah, so I wanted to just be specific. So Prop 15, we encouraged, like you said, say yes. Prop 16, yes. 17, yes. 20, no. 21, yes. The app-based driver to be independent contractors, we say no. And then, and on 25, we are saying no, which, yes. So, and
Rae,
then
I'm wondering if you know more about that. I'm getting some comments in the chat function. Folks are like, Prop 25, no? That seems surprising. Maybe we can get our community some additional information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to get you more information and share with you out a document to specifically get out to your community about why that's no. And the reason is because, so, you know, I have been working personally on 15, 20, and J for months now. And so I know a lot about those three. I know more about, to be honest, many of the others. 25 is the one that I know the least about. And so I want to make sure that I share with you the right information that you all can make the right judgment for yourself. And so I just wanted to be very clear about where we stand there and the reasons why. Is that
that's
okay?
helpful. Yeah, no, I appreciate that very much. And we'll take a look in a moment at that rapid response team spreadsheet that I was speaking of that you know, may have some additional information, especially in terms of where everyone else is at, and that might be helpful to our voters as well. So, but here we are, and I think that maybe, Rae, you can also, you know, in the chat function, add some information about how folks can phone bank for these measures, right? And reach out to fellow Pasadenans, which will be so exciting to do that in community again, and from the safety and comfort of one's own home to recruit people to vote in the following way.
Yes, thank you, Juliana. So every Wednesday, other Pasadena congregations have been phone banking for the last 3 weeks. This includes Pasadena Mennonite Church, which I know you all are very close friends with, and also MHCH, which is making housing and community happen, and which was formerly known as GPOG, which was the Greater Pasadena Affordable
Housing Group.
Housing Group. Thank you.
Yes.
So
acronyms, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, these acronyms are hard for me to remember. And so they have been engaged in phone banking every Wednesday. Residents of Pasadena, I know you all have been phone banking, a number of you have been phone banking your own church community and educating them in voter engagement. And so I want to invite all of you to consider joining us every Wednesday to specifically educate folks, just like I'm educating you all today, about Prop 15, Prop 20, and Measure J, and to encourage them to one, get out the vote. I know a lot of people who say that they care about politics. I'll give you an example. I used to say I cared about politics. I'll tell you that I don't think I put up my first vote until after college, even though during college I had a lot of opinions about politics, but I didn't actually vote. What is, you know, like, because, and it wasn't because I didn't want to per se, it was, I just, you know, I would forget, or I got busy, So we want to make sure people vote. We want to make sure they're educated about what it takes to register to vote. Juliana gave you so much education about that today. Black and blue pen, make sure your signature is still the same. These are our voter, ballot drop locations, et cetera, right? But then we also want to pursue, right, like I've been sharing, a racial and economic just agenda for our state. We see a vision forward. We've researched it well. We know how to get there. And so let's get there together, right? And so Wednesday nights from 6 to 9 p.m., every Wednesday night from 6 to 9 p.m., come join us in phone banking. If you feel frustrated or angry or scared or nervous or sad about the state of our elections right now, get engaged. It will relieve a lot of your anxiety. It will relieve a lot of your emotions. I find it very cathartic. I'm so glad instead of watching the presidential debates, I watched it after the segments because I knew it was going to be difficult for me. And instead I used those hours of the debate to phone bank. And I had amazing, beautiful conversations with voters.
Wonderful. What a better use of your time.
And so I invite you to find some space and join us Wednesday night, 6 to 9. If Wednesday's nights don't work for you because you have a prior commitment or you've got kids you're getting to bed, we have almost every single day of the week, we actually have phone banks. Just the one specifically for Pasadena happens on Wednesday nights. So come join us. Juliana will get you that information and get that all in your emails and all that. And I would love to invite you to join us. So I'm going to stop now.
Thank you. We're quickly running out of time. Oh gosh, there's just so much information and so much to talk about. So what I'm going to do is just quickly go through these next slides. But Rae, thank you so much for all the sharing, all the education that you've provided us. I know it's incredibly helpful for myself, and I know for members of our congregation. You are a resource, and there are other resources we can tap into to make sure that we're equipped voters when we, vote by mail or show up at the polls. As I mentioned earlier, our rapid response team is responsible for creating our weekly actions. Every single week, we put our faith into action and we sign a letter to an elected official or we sign onto a petition for any number of social justice issues, and we track those throughout the year. Part of what the rapid response team also does is that before every election, they provide an analysis of what our community partners recommend for vote on ballot measures. And so here we have, it's just a screen grab, but if you go to allsaints-pash.org, if you go to our website, and at the top of the page, there is a tab that says Vote 2020. When you click on that, you're going to be able to access this spreadsheet. And this, again, has the ballot recommendations from our partners at Clue, at LA Voice, at Impact, at League of Women Voters, at Los Angeles Times, for example. And you can see where everyone is at on the different ballot measures. And so this is something we have typically, Rae, like we give this out on the lawn every single Sunday leading up to election. Because we don't have that capacity, we are making this available online. And so we want you all to make sure to click on it, download it, share the link with your friends. This is a really important tool for voting. Also, the League of Women Voters, I can't speak highly enough of the League and the phenomenal work that they do to be nonpartisan in their analysis of ballot measures. They come out election after election with a document called Pros and Cons, where they do a careful analysis of everything on the ballot. That is something that you can obtain by visiting cavotes.org, or also our local Pasadena chapter of the League of Women Voters has lots of really valuable information. Their link is available there. Please make sure to make a quick note of it. You can get some phenomenal information, again, to equip yourself and be a more informed voter. And then finally, I want to let you know about a wonderful opportunity coming up with our partners over at Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center. They have a social justice committee, and on Tuesday, October 13th, they're going to have a special Zoom webinar so that you can learn more about all the California propositions and positions, and this is going to be presented by the League of Women Voters. So there is a registration link that you can see here. It's a bit.ly, so it's a quick just jot down with your pen, or if you want to enter that into your computer web browser right now, you can go ahead and register for that Zoom. I'll be sure to share that on our social media and make sure you have the opportunity to get further educated at that particular event. So we just have a few minutes left, holy moly, to take on some questions and answers. And I know that Rae and I will both make ourselves available to them. I was sort of tracking some of the questions that were coming in, Rae, as you were speaking. So I'm going to do a quick attempt to address some of them. With regards to signatures looking different on your ballot, I think that, Karen asked this question, I think that's directly linked to also maybe your name issue. So for example, if you are a registered voter under a particular name, but you sort of exist out in the world with a different name and with a different signature, you're going to want to make sure that your name and your signature are the same, right? So I think that that's what it's really about. Not so much that, maybe my signature from 20 years ago when I registered to vote may look a little different than it does today. I don't think that's really what it's about. It's just making sure that your name and your signature are sort of matching with what you have on file with the county clerk. We had a question about whether if you live in another city and you want to be part of the All Saints Day of putting our votes in the City Hall drop-off box, if that's possible. Yes, absolutely, as long as the other city that you live in is in LA County. So those drop-off boxes, it's a little tongue twister, they are for Los Angeles County. So if you are a registered voter in LA County, you can go to any ballot drop-off box and put in your ballot. If you live outside of the county, then you need to drop off your ballot within your own county drop-off box if they have one. But Marianne, if you would like to join us that day and you live in LA County, which I think you do, you would be more than welcome to do so. I know that there was also a concern, I think maybe I misspoke earlier with regards to filling out your ballot properly and sealing it and signing and dating it. I may have misspoken by saying you need to put your birth date on the envelope. That is incorrect. It's the date that you are signing and submitting your vote by mail ballot. So forgive me if I misspoke, but it is the date that you're signing the document and officially submitting it that is needed, not your birth date on the back of the envelope. I'm getting lots of messages in the chat box, Rae, of folks already receiving their ballot, which is awesome. So there are All Saints voters out there who have already received their ballot. If you received a ballot, you are a registered voter. So that whole exercise we did at the beginning of checking your voter registration status, you don't really have to worry about that because obviously the system has your record. So we just want to make sure that all those voters out there who are ready to vote know exactly how to do it and do it well. If there are any other questions, I know there's some comments about closing the loopholes in regards to Proposition 15, but I regret that I think, we are over time, holy moly. We could probably do another session and maybe we can figure out how to do something, Rae, together right before the election, because I think our folks would really appreciate that. I'm so grateful for your time, Rae. I know it's a Sunday and you need to be with your girls. Thank you for being with us. All Saints, thank you for taking the time to learn and again, be an educated voter. I will do my best to keep responding to things that are in the chat box and also in the Q&A box as we start Children's Chapel, but it is time for Children's Chapel. I see Kelly Aaron, and Luna Tuna. Luna is taking a little nap on Kelly Aaron's lap, which is the cutest. Thank you all for your time and thank you again, Rae.